Paul, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast today, mate. I really appreciate it. We've had an epic morning already.
Man.
We've done breakfast, we've done a gym session,
workout.
We've had lunch, and now we're getting to the main part of the day. So pleasure to actually meet you. We've been speaking for a long time,
You too, bro.
Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah.
So Paul, you're known online as the warrior walker.
Yeah.
You're 80% through your epic world record breaking 2 laps of the entire UK coastline.
It feels weird when you say that. You know?
Oh, it's mental, mate. I know when you're so used to walking alone, and when someone else tells you, explains to you what you're actually doing, it must be amazing. So you're around 80% in, around 8,000 miles into your around 11,000 mile journey.
Yeah.
It's a walk that we'll come on to and we'll get to know more about. It's a walk that you've actually credited with saving your life in many ways, and certainly defining the rest of your life. But we'll go back to Paul Harris, not the warrior walker.
Sure.
I want to know a little bit more about you as a person from the early years, your childhood, your experiences growing up, and we'll just work up to where we are now. So fire away.
Man, what a question. And pleasure to be here, by the way. Where do I start? So I grew up in Dorset. I'm currently 40. Sometimes I feel 440.
No wonder.
But I grew up in Dorset. I had a pretty tough childhood, to be fair. Didn't have the best upbringing in the sense of parents. You know, they had a very traumatic relationship, I would say, that involved a lot of alcohol and separation, and witnessing that obviously wasn't the best. But looking back on that, I don't want to talk too much about that in a sense, just because, you know, now I'm older, I'm a lot more forgiving and also understand that life's pretty tough. What I do take away from that is that I always had this kind of resilience, that I now look back upon those moments in my life. That was the start of this journey that I'm now on. Yeah. So I was kind of always on my own, and I always had to get it done. And at the age of 18, it was actually my brother. He was only a year younger than me, and we had a brotherly love and a brotherly rivalry. You know, we're competitive. Yeah. And I remember he joined the army, and I never wanted to be in the military. I wasn't really bothered about that when I was younger. Most people say they want to be in the army, they want to do this, they want to do that, and I always wanted to play football. And he joined the army. I remember it. It's almost 22 years ago now, damn. And he was getting all this attention off the family. So I just said, well, I'm going to join the Marines then. You know, so I wanted like the attention that he was getting, even though it was toxic, even though it wasn't great, I wanted it on me. Yeah. And I thought to myself, how can I do that? And it just came out of my mouth. Yeah. And before you know it, I'm signing up to the Marines. And that's the start of this crazy journey, man. I never even, when we're talking now, I'll probably start talking and go forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards. Yeah. But, looking back on it now, I never actually wanted to be a Marine.
You just wanted to beat your brother? Just
wanted to beat my brother. But I didn't
joined the army, you joined the Marines.
It was a kind of culmination of two things. One, it was my brother. Yeah. And secondly, my, as I mentioned, the relationship with my parents wasn't great. And my mum, she was very up and down. And she said to me, if you don't join the Marines, then you've not got anywhere to live. Okay. You know, so as an 18-year-old boy, you know, because I don't care what people say. If you're 18, you're young. Yeah. You know? And I kind of felt like I had to. Otherwise, where am I going to live? I didn't have a support network. I didn't have much savvy in life. I was young. So I joined the Marines, as an escape, not to be freaking homeless. Yeah.
So did you hope that the Marines would offer you that discipline and structure and that kind of family life, although in a different sense, that brotherhood almost that lacked your home and your upbringing?
It wasn't even that for me. It was somewhere to stay. Yeah, it was as simple as that.
Just security.
Yeah, and
How did you feel though when your mum said that to you? Because that's a rejection in itself.
Devastated.
Most people that would experience that rejection, it would more likely come from the father's side.
Yep.
I would say.
Yeah.
But to hear that from your mother at 18, it's almost like you're going. Well, it is. You're going. You're pushing your way. Go and live your own life.
Yeah. No. I obviously it was devastating, man. And but I kind of, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And this is mine. But what I've learned is that knowing myself now, I'm kind of glad that happened.
Yeah.
Because if it didn't, I wouldn't be here now. Like that moment and the many moments after that forged my origin story and this absolutely relentless human that settles for nothing but the best. Yeah. And it's not even that I settle for the best, it's that I have this kind of this place that I don't know where it is. It's like I'm looking and seeking answers that I know I probably won't get.
Yeah.
But I have questions. And therefore, the biggest question I have is how far can I go?
Yeah.
And how can I push myself? And I really attribute that to those moments. So yes, my mum did that, but I'm kind of glad now. It kind of made me have to, I mean, what a place to do it, to go from that as an 18-year-old boy to the Marines.
Yeah.
Like, I kept, I signed up, I did the 3-day course. I don't know specifically the numbers, but it was probably around 150 people on the 3-day course to be a potential Royal Marine, right? Yeah. I passed that. The pass rate there was probably 50 to 60%. I'm just like, fuck, oh my God, I've actually got to do it now. Yeah. So then I go into training, day 1, week 1. God, I could talk about just that for this whole podcast. How did you take it?
Did you enjoy it?
Not very well, bro. I hated it, man. Not well at all. Anyone who says they loved it is lying. Yeah.
Did you play the game or did you fight back?
I played the game. You have to play the game. If you don't play the game, you're screwed. People play the game and they don't get far.
Yeah.
I appreciate what it was now. You're joining probably, I would say, completely non-biased, the hardest fighting force in the world.
Yeah.
The Royal Marines have a name for themselves.
Yeah.
You say that anywhere in the world. And,
yeah, it's instantly recognisable.
But it was the motto when I was in, was 99.99% need not apply.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember it, man. Day 1, week 1. I funnily tell people that I meet on the path, when they ask me that they want to join the Marines, tell me they want to join the Marines, what advice would I give them? And mine is that you should learn to iron. It's
the most important part.
Right? Because
you could be the fastest, strongest,
honestly,
fittest,
you could be the fastest, strongest person, but the first 2 weeks in foundation, you're ironing.
Yeah.
Your bed sheets have got to be A4, this, that and the other. Yeah. I couldn't iron. So I'm up till 3 a.m. trying to do that. Lads, grown men have done it, nailed it, in bed, sleeping. I'm sleeping on the floor because I don't want to get in my bed to ruin it for the next day. And then the training team come in and just pull it all out anyway. And it's devastating.
It doesn't matter, even if it was millimetre perfect.
No, it doesn't even matter if it was perfect, man. But yeah, I did the training. Ruthless, relentless. I remember one of the times, the story I'll tell you now, because otherwise I'll be on this for the whole thing, but I remember being on an exercise, and it was 7 months training. And it's January, and it's freezing. And the training team are like, we've just woken up, but you haven't really slept. You don't really sleep.
Yeah.
And they said, get in the water with all your clothes on. It's freezing. I don't want to get in. Fully grown men are crying.
I can imagine.
Don't want to get in. They're like, okay, leave then. I don't want to leave. Get in then.
Total ruthless. You've no choice.
Just get in.
You've no choice.
Get in. You're soaked.
But it does help to build up probably your character, the resilience that you then went on to be the man that you became today.
I passed out of the training, couldn't believe it.
Did your family come to your passing out parade?
Yeah, they did.
Good.
Couldn't believe it, man. I was crying every day. Cried every day. No one saw. Yeah.
Just really
I was 18, 19. But I'm very proud now. But yeah, I think it was about, 65 maybe joined day 1. And when I passed out of training, there was 16 of us.
Jesus, 20%.
That's ruthless, man. And it was there that I looked back fondly on that you can't judge a book by its cover, because you'd see these men that are absolute tanks, ripped, this scrawny little 18-year-old lad in the shower, and you're thinking, man, this guy's going to smash it. I'm screwed. That guy's out for week 4, right? And then there's these guys that are lifelong Marines. Their dads have been Marines. Week 10, they're done. You know? I just had this desire to not quit. That was it. Yeah. I remember I had a phone call with my granddad because I was close to quitting. We just had Christmas leave. I was a young boy, right? Shy. You know? I'm 19 now. I'm halfway, almost finished with training. And my confidence is sky high. You know, I'm walking into these Bournemouth. I'm in Bournemouth, right? It's Christmas leave, 2 weeks off. I'm there's girls. I'm young. Yeah. Girls everywhere. I'm confident in what I'm doing, who I am, how I stand. Girls are coming up to me that I used to fancy at school on a night out, talking to me like, I really fancy you. I'm like, what the hell?
Didn't fancy me 6 months ago.
Right? and I, you know, just a bit different now. I'm a hench, I'm driven, you know? And I'm like, wow, this is cool. So after Christmas leave, went back straight on exercise, and I wanted to quit. So I went to see the Sergeant Major. I was like, I'm done. Don't want to be here anymore. Why not? Had a little chat. This is like week 19. So I've got 11 weeks to go. So I broke the back of it. I remember him, man. He said to me, right, recruit Harris. Go back to your room. I'm not going to take it right now. Call someone you love. Come back tomorrow. If tomorrow you still feel the same way, I'll accept it and you can leave. I called my granddad and my nan. And it was my granddad. All he said was, do you want to be known as Paul Harris or Marine Harris? And that was it. I was like, I want to be known as Marine Harris, you know? Again, I didn't want to quit.
Just a bit of old school encouragement, isn't it?
Just those simple words, man. So I then passed out of training and I'm a Marine. And I'm like, oh, God, I've got to do this now. I'm in for 4.5 years. Oh, my God.
So about after training, your first deployment, tell us about that.
Yeah, so, you know, when I passed out of training, it was the Iraq War.
Right, okay.
So you can imagine in training, as a Marine, I can only speak from my experience. But you're training as a Marine, right? So your job is that. So you're excited that you're going to go to war. You're excited that you're going to go to these places. You're scared, obviously, you know, but it's what you've been training for 6-7 months. Everything you do is around that. Yeah. It's around death and killing and not being killed, right? It's ruthless, but it is what it is.
It needs to be that way.
And so if I'd have passed out of training a week before, I'd have been on the first wave of the attacks in Iraq. But I passed out on the second one. And I ended up being based at Faz Lane in Glasgow, not far from here. Yeah. Our first job was to carry the dead bodies off the planes at Bryce Norton in Oxford. And for the next 4 to 6 weeks, me and my friends, it's about 18 of us, were the funeral parties for all the lads that were dying.
At 19 years old?
Right, and that's my first job in the Marines, is to carry. It was in the press a lot. We were carrying the coffins off. Can you imagine that? Even then, I was like, what the F is happening right now? But right now, that's my first job.
It's probably the first ever time dealing with death as well.
And this is what I've signed up for. And I'm already thinking, damn. Oh, honestly, man, I'll never forget it. It's humbling, scary. Yeah. I always remember the things I remember the most about all of that time, because we did a lot of funerals. A lot of lads were dying. It was the screams of the mums at the funeral. It was almost like a wolf howling, honestly.
That would be so hard to deal with.
Right, we had
even now, obviously, you must get flashbacks on odd occasion to those times, because you're just a young boy, just out of training. You wanted to go to war, but here was you facing
what could happen.
What could happen to you and your colleagues and your friends. But
honestly, man, it was a baptism of fire. I'll never forget it. And again, I'm a positive guy. Yeah. And those lads that we took off the plane, in some way, they inspire me even now. Yeah. Because I think to myself, I lost a lot of friends. Yeah. And I think to myself, they'd be proud of what I'm doing and they'd love to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'll never forget the screams of the mums, man. I know, it's deep, right?
That is deep. That is deep. I'm just imagining myself, and I can actually hear the shrieks
honestly,
of the wives and the mothers.
So, it's like almost primal, man, and it was devastating.
It's sheer terror. Because a lot of the fallen Marines would have been young as well.
Yes.
You know, they're only in their late teens, early 20s.
And their whole life
ahead of them.
And it's something that I feel like now maybe people talk about it more.
Yeah.
But not enough. And unfortunately, I don't want to be too political about people and the government, but they don't help veterans enough. Yeah. That's all I'll say on the matter, really.
Yeah.
They're happy for you to sign your life away. It's kind of current at the minute with this whole thing in the news about signing up if we go to war.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's a lack of manpower and woman power in the services. But my response to that is if you treated the ones that you already had well, and you paid them well, and you looked after them well, then they wouldn't be in this situation anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of very easy for people to sign people, you know, in Whitehall or wherever they do that sort of thing. Okay, we're going to war. But it's the young lads on the front line that take the brunt of it and come home men, but different men. And then they get kind of left by the wayside. I left the Marines, obviously, 4.5 years. I did. Saw a lot, did a lot, loved it. And it's made me the man I am today. But all I got was a thanks very much.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So see, obviously, your time, that surely that would have made you almost more scared about having to go and fight in Iraq when it became your turn to be deployed there, knowing that you just carried the bodies of dozens of fallen Marines.
Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
I remember being in Iraq. I was scared, you know. I mean, there's an image of a Marine. You know, I'm probably different to most because I talk about the other side of it.
Yeah.
But everyone's scared.
Yeah.
You know? But you have to use that energy in a good way because you can't change it and you can't change that you're there.
No, of course.
So all you can do is very like life or death. And you have to be very switched on, mentally switched on, physically switched on. And you've got your mates around you. And it just so happens that you're all together and it makes it easier and you get through it and you laugh about things you probably shouldn't laugh about, but you do, you know.
It's just a coping mechanism, isn't it?
Really
just trying to get through.
But I went all over the world, man, like operations and exercises to Iraq, Northern Ireland, Sardinia, Dubai, Colombia, Senegal and everywhere. And I was ready at the time. You're an absolute machine of a man. And I look back on it fondly, man. I had a few near misses myself, and again, everything I do in my life now is it's like a stepping stone. And every year I've lived, the more I'm grateful for those times that I was able to live and able to do it and survived, man.
You were constantly tested, weren't you, physically and mentally, to see if you were going to be able to overcome them.
Yeah,
and it's obviously helped building the resilience that you've shown.
It's kind of like invisible toolbox.
Yeah, just building blocks to your personality now. Right. So 4.5 years later, you decided
to leave.
To leave. Was there an event or an incident or anything that made you come to that decision, or did you just feel that my time here is up?
I kind of always wanted to do the minimum.
Yep.
So again, it's that kind of years later looking back, and I've always liked to test myself. Yeah. So initially, as I mentioned, and no one knows what I told you, but they do now, obviously. But, you know, with that being said by my mum, I didn't really have a choice. I didn't think I had a choice. You know, I didn't know many people. I was young, so I thought, okay, let's give it a go. Yeah. And I just purely wanted to see if I could do it. Okay. And then I did it. So then I'm like, okay, I'm here now. Yeah. So I've got to survive and love it and enjoy it. And it was great as well. There was many great times. I made great friends. I still talk to them now. But I always wanted to see if I could do it. So therefore, I always planned to do the minimum time, which is still a long time. Yeah. But yeah, after the 4.5 years, I knew that I'd be a young lad and I'd have it on my CV, which gets you places. Yeah. And I decided to leave. When I left, I had a girlfriend at the time. She was in Cardiff Uni, and she's from Bournemouth. And I kind of maybe think that she was the reason I didn't. A lot of lads go a certain kind of way. Yeah. They mentally struggle. It's constantly surrounded by the same thing in the military and this image of what they should be. But I had this kind of pressure cooker taken off me at weekends. Yeah. She was at uni. So I'd go and be a uni student for a weekend or a week, and I feel like that really helped me.
Yeah.
And gave me some social skills that I probably wouldn't get in the Marines.
Yeah.
But I used to go to her place for the weekend with all her friends in the same house.
Just a break from the military.
Yeah.
Probably made it easier to
it's so
transition
good.
back
I made
into
friends there, and I became a student at weekends, and it was good to see my girlfriend at the time, and you know, the feminine energy and all that sort of thing, right? But I remember you have to put a year's notice in the Marines. That's a long time. And I had a few offers of. I got accepted to go to uni in Cardiff to do sports coaching. I got accepted to play football in LA on a scholarship. Oh. Yeah, I love football. I'm quite good at football. And I also just randomly, one Sunday, chilling with the girls, and this TV show came up on Channel 4, T4 at the time, called Shipwrecked.
No way.
Right? And I watched one episode, and right at the end, it said, if you fancy yourself as a contestant next season, apply. I was unsure what I was going to do, right?
Yeah.
I looked to my girlfriend, I remember saying, like, I think I might apply for that.
She said, no chance.
She said, do it, you won't get on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, 4 months later, I'm on it.
No way, did not know that.
Yeah, so I left the Marines a week later. I'm on a desert island in the Cook Islands. Amazing. Living I was the first new arrival. There's 5 girls, 5 guys. Tigers and Shark Island.
I can remember that.
Right, and I'm the first guy out. So every week, the premise was that every Sunday someone would come out over 6 months. And then the winning island at the end has the most people. Anyway, I was on that for 6 months, and it was amazing. Great experience.
I didn't realise it lasted for so long. 6 months is a long time.
It's a long time, man.
Definitely. What an experience, though.
Amazing, but it also, I feel like it helped me now. It helped me become part of who I am now, because put a camera in my face, put a microphone in front of me, I'm good. Yeah. You know, because I remember the one core memory I have of that is it was very, very early on, and the camera crew didn't talk to us, just blanked us for a couple of weeks. And I remember I was on the beach on my own in my sleeping bag, and I just remember waking up, and Paul Mungo stood over me with this massive camera. The sound man's got the sound boom there, and they're just like, just act natural. I was like, mate, I can't act natural, man. I was in the Marines like a couple of weeks ago, and you are stood right over me with that. You know? Just wanted so we had to do it again. Yeah. And then after a while, it got to the stage where I would go and find the camera crew, go, right, I'm going to have an argument. Where do you want me to stand? Where do you want me to do it? Where do you just get used to it? Yeah. But I really think that was the reason I became very confident. It was like 6 months of drama school. Yeah. And then obviously we came home. When we were out there, we'd quiz everyone that came out, because we didn't have any knowledge of anything. It was very nice. Yeah. You didn't need money. You didn't need a rent. You didn't need a job. You just
no
Adam and Eve.
Media,
Adam and Eve, man.
Yeah.
So we're quizzing people when they come out so hard. And they kept talking about this thing, and we couldn't get our heads around it, called Facebook. You know, every week they're coming out and we're like, this Facebook thing, Facebook. I'm like, what? And obviously, if you've never heard of that,
yeah, of course, it's
just like, what are you talking about? Anyway, because it was on TV and it was on Channel 4 Sundays, Saturdays, and it was everywhere. I got home, and the Sunday we got home, the first episode went out. So in essence, we've been on it 5-6 months, and then now it's on TV for 5-6 months, real time. So I went out into Bournemouth end of January, and people are recognising me. This is so weird, but because of Facebook, TV, and all that. Yeah. So I then ended up being a bit of a Z-list celebrity, to be honest. It was wild. Yeah. For about a year, me and the lads and the girls would go all over the country, would get paid to go to clubs. And what came with that was a lot of alcohol, a lot of women. And I was like a kid in a fucking sweet shop, bro. I didn't even have to try. Yeah. I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. But that quickly got boring. So I got a call from my brother, and he said, mate, do you want a job? I was like, yeah, I do, yeah. It's all right, send me a CV. I'll put it in front of the boss. You'll get it because of what you've done in the Marines. Yeah. So February 2012, I'm flying to Thailand, and I'm basing myself there because my brother's there. I've never been there before. Loved it instantly. But I then started to work in Kabul as a bodyguard for the American government. So that basically involved 6 to 8 weeks in Kabul in country and 4 weeks off. I did that for 2 years.
What a life. What a life. What a free spirit, travelling the world.
Oh, no, man. I chased the money, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you need to pay the bills at the end of the day.
Money,
but it was good when you were young, and that's what life's about.
So
full of
2012,
experiences,
so not that long ago, I just chased the money, because most people do in that environment. But I also chased the buzz.
Yeah, I
was looking for a new challenge. I was living in a new country, and that life was, God, I could talk to you about that for another hour. Like, so dangerous, man.
That would be.
Oh man, like.
So how long did you do that for?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. So you can imagine I'm doing 6 to 8 weeks in Kabul.
Yeah.
City centre, in a house, compound. It wasn't. Yeah. And then I'm flying to Thailand, the most dangerous city in the world, to the most chillest country in the world. So you can imagine when I'm here in Kabul and I'm flying there, I'm loving. I'm like, this is amazing. But after a while, when I was at the most chillest country in the world, the land of Buddhism and Thai massages and Muay Thai and sun, and everything's just chill, flying there just got harder and harder.
Yeah.
Because it got
two different personalities, two different demeanours.
Yeah, and the thing I found is that those things became mixed up. So when I was in Kabul, I did get comfortable, which was very dangerous. Yeah. There's a few times I'd really, oh man. And then when I was in Thailand, I'd become on.
Yeah, too heightened.
So I'd hear a dog barking. Yeah. And I'd instantly wake up and sweating and just can't relax, can't sleep. But the other side of the spectrum was that in Kabul, honestly, man, like, what I'm going to tell you now is crazy, but I still think about it and I still laugh now, thankfully, but it was not funny now. I look back on it, but me and my brother became so comfortable and we were working together that one day we decided that we'd go to the local swimming baths. So me and my brother are walking down a high street in the middle of Kabul as two English foreigners going to the swimming baths in our flip-flops and shorts.
That's going to attract attention.
They already knew we were there anyway. But and then we go to the swimming baths and we're just cracking lengths, chilling. And then going back to the compound, I look back on that now with like, what the...
So lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, so I realised at that point, like, this is crossing over too much now. Yeah. I was earning great money, obviously, but I also realised that every time I would fly back into country and into theatre, I was very aware that I could die quicker than I want to die. And I didn't want to die because life's good. Life's great, right? So I decided that I'm going to quit that life. It's one of those industries that you get sucked into and you look up 10 years later if you're fortunate enough to be alive and you're married to it and you haven't lost all your social skills and you've lost all this kind of life that you maybe could have. Yeah. So again, I just changed it, pivoted and became a kindergarten teacher in Thailand.
That's probably the most extreme change. So Royal Marine to private security in Afghanistan to a kindergarten teacher in Thailand.
Yeah.
What was your calling for that? How random was that? Oh man,
so like...
Did you just have do you have a caring, kind of nurturing, looking after personality?
I think I do. Yeah. Just because of my experiences when I was younger. Yeah. And obviously you go as a human, you go two ways, right? You break the circle and break the cycle, or you become what you know. And I refused to do that. And I had a friend, Emma. You always meet expats when you're abroad because it's just you just gravitate towards each other. You go to the same places, right? Yeah. And I was telling her about what was going on. So, and she's a teacher, so she's from Cardiff, but she was out there. She said, "Why don't you just become a teacher?" I was like, "What? I've got no qualifications in that realm." She said, "Well, just give it a go." Anyway, long story short, gave it a go. In the Marines, we had this saying like, "No cuff, too tough."
Right. Okay.
So it's nothing you can't try. Just give it a go. Yeah. So I just thought, well, just give it a go. Went to an agency, did loads of demo lessons, went to a school, covered for the teachers that were doing visa runs. One of the schools I was at doing that, and Emma's school, had a position for a kindergarten. They asked me if I wanted it. I was like, no, they're too young, they're babies. Yeah. Just give it a go. Loved it.
Really?
Loved it. Oh my God. Oh, I loved it. It was like therapy for me. Yeah. You've got these beautiful little children. They're from the age of 1 to 5 to 6 to 3, and they love you so much. Yeah. They're like little puppies. You know, every morning I'm coming to school, I've got 30 kids in my class.
Just hanging off your legs.
They absolutely love me. Yeah. They're hugging me so much. You've got 2 Thai teachers, so they speak Thai to them. I speak English, but I picked up Thai from the kids because they're babies, so they're learning it as well. Yeah. Mate.
Well,
I feel like everyone should do it, man. Like just
go to Thailand.
Well, not even Thailand, but just work with young kids. Because they're so
just so innocent. There's no judging. It's just unconditional love as well.
Unconditional love. They're very honest. I remember, again, I've always got these core memories that I remember. Thailand's very hot if you've never been there. Yeah. It's like being in a microwave, or when you open the oven and it's that heat.
Blast the heat.
Yeah, and as a foreigner out there, you know, their blood is obviously cold. We're warm-blooded, so we're going to sweat. And I sweated a lot. You know, it's 30 plus degrees every day. I'm in trousers, shirt. I wore a T-shirt, you learn the tricks. So I wore a T-shirt underneath that was soaked, but it wouldn't soak through to my shirt. But I remember, man, I spoke Thai, right? I learned Thai from the kids. It just makes me laugh, but they said in Thai, they would say, "Oh, Teacher Paul smells so bad."
No way. You were thinking that you were coping fine as well.
And honestly, it killed my ego, bro. And it got to the stage where a lot of the foreign teachers didn't really care. You know, Americans, South Africans and English. And I did. So I remember I took 2 uniforms to school. And at lunchtime, when the kids were having nap time, because they're so young, I'd go and use the bum gun that you have in a toilet to shower myself. And then put a new set of clothes
on, so you were nice and fresh for basically, the kids. So how long did you do that for?
So I did that for 3 years. And then in the end, I ended up running my own teaching school.
Okay. So
I did it for a year. I had a year out there. I had a girlfriend at this point. She had a very successful business. She was one of the mums at the school. Yeah. All I'd ever said was like, "Swaddy Cup," that's it. Like, so, "Hello, how are you?" kind of basically. Yeah. It's a very polite country, right? So I just presumed, because it was a private school, that she was married. Yeah. And it was expensive to go there. I just presumed. And it turns out that she was a single mum. And the universe and whatever came together, and we ended up being together. So I was with her for a year, and she had her own accounting business. So she had a lot of staff, and we'd travel a lot because she just had to sign things off on her laptop. Yeah. So I basically travelled Asia with her and Tan, her daughter, who I treated like mine. Yeah. It was amazing. But I kept getting asked by all the parents, because I got on so well with the kids, like, "Can Teacher Paul please teach the kids privately?" For a year, I was like, no, because I just didn't want to. But then after a year, I thought, actually, why not? You know? And I ended up doing that. And I had 30 kids come see me every week. From the age of 1 to 12, that I mostly taught before, and I love the kids. So I didn't really care. Even when I taught, I didn't really care the fact they got to learn English, because they're 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. They've got plenty of time to do that. Yeah. All I cared about was that they had fun and that they were happy coming to school. So that was the difference that separated me with a lot of the teachers, and that's why the parents loved me, because they were happy. Because there's a lot of kids that are young, and they didn't want to leave their mums. And their parents, they're crying a lot when they leave. But with the kids that I had, they're running towards me like, "Teacher Paul, and they give me a hug." Coming
for a good time or a good laugh.
So their parents are like, "This is great. Oh my God." Yeah. And I was a dad for the day, and I loved it. And then what actually happened was, at the school, we'd have private lessons for an hour, 3 till 4. And I was doing really well. I was getting all the kids in my class. And then what started to then happen, which was really awkward, was I had to go and get the kids from other teachers' classes to bring them to me for private lessons, because they didn't want their English teachers to teach them, which obviously caused a bit of a problem. But I was like, man, of course I'm going to do it, but it's not my problem. But because I just wanted them to have fun. I didn't do anything crazy. I mean, one thing I will say about that whole teaching experience is, the Taliban and all that sort of thing, not a problem. Standing up in front of 30 kids singing "Bar Bar Black Sheep" was a problem.
I can imagine.
Honestly, it makes me feel, every day I'm stood up singing nursery rhymes.
No.
I'm dying inside, doing all the actions. Oh my God, it brings back trauma, to be honest. But
do you feel that was a form of like deliberate therapy for yourself?
It was just the love I got, man. Like the love I got from the parents and the love I got from the kids. I mean, you can't not feel good.
Did that help you deal with your own childhood and your experiences in the Marines and private security as well?
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah,
I wasn't really aware of that, but now looking back on it, absolutely yes. Yeah. And again, that would lead into what happened next, obviously. So I'm running my own school for a year. I'm earning a lot of money, doing private lessons. 30 kids are coming to see me. I'm working 20 hours a week, but a lot of the kids, would come and see me 3 times a week. So within that 20 hours, say one of the girls would come and see me Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
I'm basically making more money than I did in the Marines, which was wild to me, because I'm working 20 hours a week. I'm loving life. I'm running. I'm doing Muay Thai. I've got a good relationship. Can's great. And in my head, I'm 37, and I genuinely thought I've completed life. This is me. I'm good. I was about to open another school somewhere else, and an English teacher was going to run that for me.
So that was going to be your base for the
I think that was me done, bro. Like, I was ready to do that. I loved it. It was great. It was easy. I felt like I did genuinely, even when I was teaching, but also when I was doing it privately, I thought I was mugging the parents off. I was like, how are you paying me for this? Yeah. It was not a job.
Just so happy doing it.
It was just great, man. And it was great. And I became really fond of the kids. They love me. I love them. Yeah. And then fast forward to September 2019, just a routine visa visit at the embassy. Long story short, they gave me a week to leave.
What was the reasoning behind that?
So I've been there so long that I needed a different type of visa in order to get that visa. And the government had the coup and the this and the that. There was a lot of other things, and Thailand is great, but it's also renowned for being a bit corrupt. They said, won't be a problem. Come back in 6 months, which would be March 2020 at the time, right? But obviously I didn't know COVID was coming. But and then come back again, and you'll be fine. Just need a bit of time out of the country. Obviously, I was like, no, I was even talking to the police about bungs and bribes and that. Can it even possibly be done?
To do whatever.
But the money was so high, it was something like 20 grand English.
To get your visa?
To get my visa, and I'll be all right. But then there was also, do I get a receipt for that? No. Well, I give you 20 grand that I don't have. How am I going to even get that?
Yeah.
But we can't guarantee that you're going to be all right. Anyway, so Joy is obviously speaking Thai to them, and she can't understand it. She's upset. I'm upset. I'm thinking, what is happening right now? A week later, I'm on a one-way flight to London. Lost all my money.
Career,
it's all tied up in there.
Away.
I thought I was coming back.
Yeah.
But still, man, I had to tell all the parents, they were like, don't worry, when you come back in 6 months, we'll start again. Yeah. Everyone was upset. I was upset, but not enough to be upset that I was upset because it was like a movie, man.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel real. So September 2019, I'm on a one-way flight back to the UK. Didn't want to be here. Didn't want to come back. I've been out there for 7 years, man.
A long time.
So I was flying home, but it wasn't home anymore.
Plus you had to leave. What was your child as well? You're basically wife and child.
Honestly, man.
Did you plan on going back when COVID struck?
I planned when I left to come back that I would go back there.
In the 6 months.
But COVID's kind of probably one of the reasons why I ended up walking, to be honest. Yeah. But it wasn't at the time. It wasn't even on my radar. Yeah. I came back. I had probably £300. Not even that, actually. I didn't even have £300. I had no money, actually. I was living with my dad, who I didn't really get on with. I didn't know anyone, man. I've been away 7 years. I just couldn't just rock up. I didn't think I could.
No friends or family here to support you?
Probably, looking back on it now, probably was. But the person I was and who I was didn't talk to anyone, didn't tell anyone about my feelings, right? So, all I'll say on the whole thing is there was a 10-month period from when I landed. I instantly needed to make money. So I worked in a call centre selling insurance. And after the life I've just told you about...
of course.
Man, honestly, I hated myself and I hated my life. And I don't hate anything. And I honestly cannot explain to you how much I hated myself.
Did you blame yourself for that?
Yes.
Even though it was through no fault?
Not even my fault, but it was me. I'd landed in England in an environment that wasn't good for me. Living with my dad, who I don't really get on with. It is what it is. I needed a safe space, man.
Yeah.
Didn't tell anyone what was going on. And missed them, obviously, very much. I've just been out there 7 years. That was my life. That was my day-to-day. And I've just landed in England, and it's coming into winter. I'm working in a call centre. Nothing against the people that I work with, but I was looking around, just the things I'd tell myself. I won't swear, but the worst possible things that you could probably say to yourself, I was saying to myself. And every day I was on fight or flight. Every single day. I would wake up, I'd hate my life. I'd wake up, I'd hate myself. All day I'd hate myself. All day I'd hate my life. I'd go home, I wouldn't be able to sleep because I missed them, and I also would hate myself and hate my life, and was making no money. And I didn't tell anyone.
Just a total downward spiral.
Honestly, it was, within that time, it got to the stage where I couldn't even look in the mirror, man. Couldn't look at myself in the mirror. What I saw back was just gluttony and self-loathing and every 7 deadly sin imaginable. The way I spoke to myself was awful. No one has ever spoke to me as bad as I spoke to myself. And as you can imagine, as we'll get onto when I start the walk part of this talk, obviously I'm a different person now. But
why did you take it so? Why did you blame yourself so much for something that was out with? Do you feel that you failed your partner, you failed your child, your career? Do you feel guilt on their part? On your part for what they were going through as well?
Mate, I just have very high standards for myself, and I wanted my life to go a certain way, and it didn't, and therefore I blame myself. I didn't blame anyone else. And there were, obviously, looking back on it now, things I couldn't control, but at the time I just blamed myself. And that was a very, very dark rabbit hole.
Did that time, the time in that kind of mental state, did that bring back bad experiences, like what you were talking about earlier, that you witnessed in the Marines and stuff as well? Did all that kind of come flooding back, or did you manage to keep that at bay?
I think I kept that separately, because I was drowning every day, man. Every day. I didn't even have time to think about that. Right. I was just consumed by this self-loathing, man. Honestly, I blame myself for every single thing, and I didn't tell anyone. And that's the common theme of all of this. And I feel like, as we will go on to with the walk, but I blame myself for every mistake, and my brain went 0 to 100, as I can imagine many people's do. You go on Google and you put headache in and you've got a coma coming.
Yeah, of course.
So I would do that, and every single night I would play back my life in minutes. As if I did that, if I did this, if I did that, I wouldn't be here now. And therefore, every single time I blame myself, and then I get frustrated, and then I'll be like, why can't anyone help me? But how can anyone help me if they didn't know anything? How can anyone help me if they didn't even know what was going on?
And that's why you're such a big advocate now about speaking up about your problems and sharing it. How low did you get? How bad did it get, Paul?
Man, so low. I remember there was a stage where it was really dark, and I was walking back from, I think it would have been like October, November time, and I'm walking back to my dad, so I took my time to get back there because I didn't want to be there. I just felt in the way. Yeah. It's probably not true, but I felt in the way at the time. I remember messaging my brother, and he was still doing security work and stuff. I was like, mate, I need a hand, man. Can you lend me some cash? I don't know what else I need a break. And he said no. And that broke me, man. I just, and in that period, I'd probably say there's 2 or 3 times I really wanted to end my life.
Really? It got that bad? Yeah.
And I didn't see any other way out. I didn't think there was a way out. And I remember middle of December 2019, it's coming up to Christmas, right? And I had a panic attack. And I never had one before. Yeah. I thought I was dying. I just couldn't breathe. I'm crying for 10, 15 minutes, hyperventilating. I'm thinking, what is happening right now? It's in front of my dad and his wife. Yeah. They're obviously concerned. Bearing in mind, I've told no one nothing since I got back.
Yeah, on the surface,
just kept it in. I'd see friends, and I'd turn around.
Oh, really?
Didn't want to see them. Yeah. Anyone asked me, "You okay? I'm good. Yeah, I'm good." But yeah, I 15 minutes or so, and I remember it, man. The first thing I said was, "I feel like a failure." That's what came out of my mouth. And then COVID came.
And that really fucked it up even more.
I was lost. Yeah. We did COVID, but Asia definitely did COVID properly, lockdown-wise. And that light went. I was even more lost, you know?
How did you get through this? What was the turning point to...
Sorry.
What was the turning point to the person you are now? How did the idea on walking the entire coast of the UK, how did that come up?
Yeah.
And obviously this is where you credit saving your life, basically.
Yeah. COVID came, working from home became a thing.
Yeah.
The targets in the office, 9 to 5, didn't matter what you hit, you had to stay.
Yeah.
But working from home came, you hit the target, you can finish. So I nailed it. I didn't even go to the toilet. I've got to hit this target because I'd reward myself by walking. COVID hit March 2020. Down south in Bournemouth, it was sunny. It was like summer overnight. So I just started walking. And I just realised quickly I could walk really far. I remember at weekends, I'd do 26 miles, just no problem. Just like, this is great, I feel happy. Yeah. And then one day, as I was on a walk, my friend Rory sent me a message. And 99% of people, 99 people out of 100 would read it and say, no fucking way. I was the 1%. I feel like I've always been that way. It just said, bro, you need to walk around the UK and write a book about it. And I was buzzing. Honestly, the only way I can explain it metaphorically is that you have a match and it's a flame.
Yeah.
And you chuck it on a bonfire and it just lights. Just
exploded.
And that was me.
Everybody needs that spark to ignite something.
I didn't even know that you could walk the UK. I didn't know there was a Southwest Coastal Path. I didn't know there was a Welsh coast. I didn't know about the West Highland Way. Yeah. I didn't know the NC 500 existed, but I knew I needed an adventure. And I knew I needed to break the cycle because I do believe that if I didn't do that walk, I probably wouldn't be here now.
Really?
Just wouldn't be here now. And obviously, I'm human. I've lived a big life. And I know that as a human, if you don't do something quickly, you don't do it.
Very true. So seize the moment.
Right? Carpe diem and all that good stuff, man. I thought to myself, I've got to go. 3 weeks later from that message, I set up an Instagram. I had £300 in my bank. I had a bag on my back. No tent because I couldn't afford one. Just a sleeping bag and me. And I left.
That was it?
That was
no plan?
Bricking it. No.
Absolutely no
plan. Just to go.
Just to go.
I am so glad now, looking back on it, that I was very naive. Even with all my military experience, even with everything else, I'm so glad I was naive to think. I literally watched a weather forecast on the news.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at it thinking, UK's not that big. You know, because it's all to scale. Oh, man.
And it's just 6,000 miles later.
Jeez, I've got to do this. I can do this, no problem.
Yeah.
2-3 days in, I haven't even made a full stop in the map. I'm in pain. I 3 weeks I had. And
so where did you start from?
Dorset, Sandbanks.
And headed
clockwise on the Southwest Coastal Path.
Right, okay.
And God, I will never forget that day, man.
So where did you sleep? In the first few weeks when you never had a tent, you had a sleeping bag, were you just basically like walking homeless?
Yes.
Just taking shelter wherever you could?
I had an Instagram. I set an Instagram up because a good friend said to me...
Yeah, to get some traction and awareness.
You need to put this online and on Instagram because if you do write a book, this is a good journal. Yeah. Plus, I know you and you're going to nail it, but people need to see it. And I was very hesitant about that because I'm quite private, really.
Yeah.
But I set it up. It's been one of the best things I've done. And I remember doing an Instagram Live on the first day. And I remember saying that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly and I'm not going to lie. So I will show you everything, the highs, the highs, the lows and the lowers. And that has been the way since I started. And that has changed my life and many other people's by the sounds of it that I've met. But I remember that first day, I didn't want to go, man. I was so scared. Like,
so that first step, isn't it?
Dude, like, how do you even, I gave up everything. I had nothing to lose because I had nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad about that now. But I remember I was at a coffee shop, obviously, because I love coffee, and I remember starting there. And my friends were there. Tommy was there, the guy that asked me to set up the Instagram and said I should. And he's looking like a bit emotional. I'm then starting to think, I might cry. And then all of a sudden, he disappears, and the 500 mile song comes on by the Proclaimers.
Brilliant.
I was like, I've got to go. Cool. But the thing is about that moment, I always talk about this now because I look back on it and I've had a lot of time to think and I've walked so far.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about the first step and I definitely do. Yeah. But the first step isn't actually a physical one. The first step is the mental one. It's the one in your mind where you say, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to call that girl. I'm going to go for that job. I'm going to get that flight. Yeah. That's the first step. And then the second step is actually doing it. So that first step for me happened there with that song. This kind of wave of emotion came over me. I call it the gods, the universe. I don't know. No one can tell me I'm right. No one can tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But all I can remember from that, even now, is this feeling and this voice saying, this is where you're meant to be right now. This is what you're meant to be doing right now. Just step.
Just go.
Just go.
Someone pushing you from behind.
I took that step and I haven't looked back, man.
8,000 miles later. That's crazy. And you're still
I'm on my
standing.
second lap of the UK, bro. I'm like, literally, what am I even doing?
You don't even walk well.
I know. I went to the gym with you this morning. Exactly. It was tough. But it's changed my life, man. Changed my life as a person.
So tell me how it progressed, and tell me the tough times. Obviously, you're a very positive person. It's clear to see that, but you're honest as well in the fact that you'll share your emotions, even if they're good, if they're bad, like you say.
Yeah.
But now, 8,000 miles in, 80% through the second lap of the full journey. How do you keep on going? There must be many a days. There must be a lot of tears.
So many tears.
Yeah.
Oh, I was 3 days in. I'd slept outside on the floor. People look at it romantically, but I would call them weekend warriors, and that's fine. But what I quickly learned was physically it was demanding. I had a 30-kilogram bag on my back because I packed for a year. Because I thought, and I genuinely didn't think that I would see any people. I didn't think anyone would be interested. I just didn't think anyone would want to know me or help me, right? Because I'm coming in from my life, as I've told you, into this walk. So I'm carrying a lot. 2 toothbrushes, 2 toothpaste, socks, underwear, this, that, just in case for a year. Food, oh my gosh, 6 litres of water. I'm killing myself. Yeah. Day 3, I'm walking from a place called Weymouth to a place called Lyme Regis on the south coast, on the southwest coastal path. And a lady messaged me on my Instagram that wasn't big then. Yeah. She just said, I love what you're doing. So does my friend. I'm based in London working for a charity. My friend Ross lives in Lyme Regis. He's a businessman. He wants to know if is buying you a hotel room a thing. It obviously wasn't. I was so goddamn tired. Yeah. I was like, I would love
yes,
that.
Please.
Yeah, please. Because I just wanted some sleep. Yeah. And that became a thing. And I talk about the gods and the universe and the right thing at the right time, and you meet people at the right time in your life and all this sort of thing. And I've had it so many times on the walk that it's real. But the only condition, coincidentally, from Ross, which was not a problem for me, because if you follow my Instagram, you know I do it all the time, was to give him a shout out on my Instagram. Yeah. That was it. So I then thought, oh, happily, I do that anyway. Yeah. I'm showing this room, right? It's got a 4-poster bed. It's got a coffee machine. The hotel, I love him what I'm doing. They're giving me a meal for the night. He's paid for my breakfast. I had to meet him the next day, so I met him for coffee. He's like, yeah, but I won't be able free till 10:30 in the morning. I was like, bro, you've just given me that room. I'll wait. Yeah. Put that shout out. That changed the game. All of a sudden,
to follow suit.
Mate, I look at it like I talk about it like Avengers Assemble, but it's the UK people.
Everybody came together.
Rooms, man. Like, I've got a room, I've got a sofa, I've got this, I've got that. I'll get you some kit. I'll chuck you some money for a coffee. And all of a sudden, fast forward 19 months of walking the first lap, 6,000 miles. I've slept outside 3 weeks. Yeah. Because people put me up the whole way along, and it has been the game changer.
You must have met some amazing characters and just seen the best in people far as support. No one needs to help you. At the end of the day, you chose to do this. But people rightly have shown you. They've embraced the magnitude of the task that you've set yourself. Yes. And when people are willing to help along the way, it's certainly a huge morale boost. Massive. To know that people have got your back, basically.
I could talk about this forever again. Yeah. I could talk about many things while I'm going to write a book and do the talks, right? But all I'll say to sum it up is that when I first left for the first lap, I was a lone wolf, bit of a black sheep. I thought I was. What would happen would I'd stay with people. And the invisible currency would be that I'll put you up for a night and I'll feed you. This would be someone on their own, old, young, married, gay, straight, kids, no kids, dogs, big house, small house, every kind of person you can imagine in the UK, I've stayed with them. But what would always happen is they'd feed me. Yeah. Too much, because it's the UK. Like, we're just feeders. They're like, you're walking this distance, you need to eat everything.
That's it.
So I did. But what would happen is that tell us about your life. Tell us about why you're walking, right? Honestly, man, I'd probably go 3-4 minutes crying.
Really?
I'm crying, yep. The trauma is just coming out of me, man.
Back.
No one's really ever listened to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no one's ever listened to me. I've never told anyone.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm all of a sudden kind of forced to start talking.
Yeah.
And what would happen is the people across the table from me would get up and hug me, hold my hand, and talk about me so kindly, man.
Yeah.
And the person I was then needed that, man. This like validation of pride and what everyone, you know, when someone says something once and they keep saying it,
yeah,
everyone said the same thing. So it would be like, you're so happy in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, this is amazing what you're doing. Oh my God, you've done so much with your life.
Yeah.
How are you so young? But I never believed that. I thought everyone did what I do, right? I just did. But yeah, so I started walking, and just slowly but surely, after months and months and months and months and months and months, the tears became less, and I became more open.
Yeah.
And I became able to talk like I am with you. If I talked about this when I first started the walk, probably nearly all of the first lap. I only finished April last year.
Yeah.
I'd be crying, man. But what actually happened was those tears of trauma and pain and sadness and being lost turned into tears of happiness, because the kindness that I saw and felt every single day. I now have 50 mums, 50 dads, 50 brothers,
Everybody
50 sisters.
you.
You know, many women that would probably want to be my girlfriend, but it's not happening. I'm too busy.
Well, that's it. I mean,
busy.
people might be on the face of it. They'll be, oh, that would be amazing. Like, you're so free, walking just every day, keeping fit and whatever else. But you've put your career on hold, you put relationships on hold, finances, you don't have any.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
It's stressful, man.
So there's a lot of logistical and emotional problems there that you need to overcome. Great, physically, it's an amazing feat of endurance, but mentally, I would like
Savage.
even more so.
More so, mate. This first lap, 19 months.
Yeah.
This lap, I decided, I finished April the 23rd last year. Yeah. The day before I finished was my biggest walk. I keep breaking my PBs. I'll go 17 days straight walking because I just had to get there. I remember the penultimate day, I started walking at 7 a.m. I finished at 12:35 p.m. I walked 37 miles in a day. I was hallucinating. I had people turn up and walk with me, which I'm so thankful for. Men, it's great.
Yeah.
I was in Dorset, Hampshire, in a place called Lymington. I got the ferry, I missed it. And I put that up on my Instagram that I missed it. I knew I was going to hit it or miss it, and I just saw it pulling out. But that meant I had to wait another hour for the next one. Yeah. A 45-minute crossing. I put it up on my Instagram. I get to Lymington finally, and I see this guy in the distance, and I'm thinking, I recognise him and that dog, and it's my friend Stu. He's like, mate, saw your stories, but I had to turn up and walk with you.
Brilliant.
We walk 100 metres. A guy gets out of his car, comes towards me. I'm thinking, I recognise that guy. Hey, mate, how's it going? I saw your story. I had to drive from Portsmouth to come walk with you, man.
Brilliant.
Is this a private thing? No, I didn't even know he was turning up.
It'll be like the Pied Piper.
So me and two other guys are now walking together. Go around the corner. You got it. Warrior. Yeah. I'm like, oh. I look over there, a guy called Nick's there with his dog. My missus thinks I'm crazy meeting a man off the internet, but it's the Warrior Walker. I've just driven from Southampton. I've got to walk with you, man. Is this a private thing? I was like, guys, I didn't know any of you were turning up.
Was that the name? Was that how the name was born, or did you already have that?
I love that you asked me that question, but no. So going back to that, the 3 weeks where I'm in an hour about what to call my Instagram.
Yeah,
I don't know if I dreamt it, read it, saw it. I don't know. But I saw a quote, read a quote, dreamt a quote, and it said, be careful what you say to yourself, because the warrior within you is lessened by it.
I see.
And after 10 months of crucifying myself, right?
Yeah.
So be careful what you say to yourself, because the warrior within you is lessened by it, is ginormous. Yeah. And that was a quote from a warrior. Yeah. So I'm walking. I'm thinking, I'm going to take the Warrior Walker. And I'm so glad I had the foresight even then to think of that name.
Yeah,
it's really
definitely.
Catchy.
It is catchy, definitely.
It's really good. And the message behind it, as you just asked me, it's a powerful one.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, going fast forward to the last day again, I honestly, man, it's one of the proudest moments of my walk so far on both laps. That 3 friends now, they've come and Joey's driven up to Edinburgh. They drove up from Portsmouth to Edinburgh one day to surprise me on the path. 3 other guys did, just to walk with me for the day, and then they went all the way back.
And then all the way back.
Because I was struggling that week on the second lap. It was raining. I was talking about quitting. I was like, I don't need to do this. I've done it once. They drove up. But that last day, I felt so good, man, because it was priceless. And each of the guys, Joey, I won't say why, but Joey, Nick and Stu, over 3-4 hours of walking with me, told me some very private stories about how I inspired them to change their lives in certain areas of their lives that they struggle with. And because I talk like I talk and do what I do, they were inspired and changed their lives. And as a man,
that's major.
I was like, that is such a powerful thing, because there's 3 men that are walking with me and we're walking together as one. And I screw the money, man. I was like, this is the money.
That's what
this is the legacy right here, man. And I just couldn't believe it that I'd left and I'd come back. And now I'm very proud and happy that the version of me at the start of the first walk had the courage and the balls and the guts to just say, screw it, I'm going to take the biggest leap of faith on myself ever to try and do this. I thought I would genuinely last 10 days. I didn't know how far I'd get. I didn't know the Southwest Coastal Path is disgusting. And I didn't know the magnitude of what I was about to attempt. So I'm very proud of him. Definitely. And this version of me, I'm even prouder of, man.
You've come a long way, Paul.
So long, so good, so far, so quickly.
In fact, talking about quickly, you've just more recently, as in the last few days, you reached Glasgow. So you walked from Skye to Glasgow in 14 days? 15 days.
A week, top of Skye.
Through really cold, wild temperatures, because we were both up the hills, obviously at certain areas, and it was touching -15 when I was there, and then you sent me a message to say if I could try doing it 15 days in a row, mate. So
I'm constantly proud of myself. You know, I'm constantly humbled by. I mentioned earlier, some questions don't have answers. And some answers don't have questions. I don't know how I keep going. But I have small targets, usually a city, a town, a place, just to keep me in the game. I started this second lap, so I finished that lap April the 23rd, and I gave myself 6 weeks, because I knew if I had any longer or gave myself any longer, I wouldn't go.
And you still needed
to do it again. So I decided to go from London and go the other way round.
Which would make you the first person ever to do that.
Yes, I know, right? I try not to think about that, because otherwise I'll relax and be like, I'm the guy. You know, that little part of my ego will be like, you're the guy. But I'm excited to finish this one and embrace it now. And I love everything and every day, because I've got the foresight now and the wisdom to know that I will miss it. So I embrace every day. I
mean, when you're saying that, it's not just yourself that will miss it, it's the charities that you're doing a lot of work for as well. This time round, you've decided on nominating different charities at different stages of your walk for various personal reasons. And now you're raising like several thousands of pounds for a multitude of charities as well, you know, so that can be forgotten about.
It does, actually. You know? I even forget I'm doing that.
But it's probably just because you're focusing on the task at hand, but not only raising funds for these, you're raising awareness about a lot of issues as well, from the conflict in Gaza to mental health problems to suicide and various others, so that must feel good as well, mate.
No, it does, man. Like, you know, I'll answer the question as quickly as I can, but reference the walk-in, so 15 days, 250 kilometres across the West Highland Way, Skye. I just go. It takes 21 days roughly, right, to create a habit or break one, and I'm 3 years deep. I have this unwritten. People often ask me, why don't you quit? How do you do it? I don't necessarily know. All I do know is I have this like non-negotiable pact with myself, which comes from that quote that I mentioned about be careful what you say to yourself, because the warrior within you is lessened by it. So if you say to yourself you're going to go to the gym and you don't, your self-belief is going to suffer and take a little bit of a hit. Not a noticeable one, but a little bit of one. But then if you go 2 weeks ago and do that 2 weeks in a row that you don't go to the gym, all of a sudden your self-belief is not as good as it probably should be. So it's holding yourself accountable. So I have this next level one that I just walk and I just go no matter what. So therefore, I've walked in storms. I've walked when I'm in I can't explain the pain I'm in all the time. I may carry it well, but I am flipping in agony all the time. So I did that because I had the plan to get as close as I could to Glasgow. I didn't know that it would snow. I just knew that I was going to be walking in January, and it turns out that it snowed. I didn't see anyone. I saw 6 people in 15 days.
No wonder. No one's stupid enough to be out in it.
And it was tough. -12 was the, there's one time, it was in the Bridge of Orkney. I'm walking with my history and my wisdom and being on the path for so long. I'm very good at what I do. And I could feel myself falling asleep as I'm walking near the road.
Yeah.
And I could feel myself going to sleep. And what that was, I think, is my body was closing down.
And just shutting down.
And in my mind, I'm saying, just go for a sleep there. Just lie there.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
You might not wake up,
no,
right?
Definitely not.
So I knew that. Luckily, I was like, come on, so I kept on going. But it was close, man. I wanted to cry. I took my glove off. My hand starts to swell up.
Yeah.
It was brutal and ruthless. But yeah, so I just have this thing, as savage as it is, that I do what I say I'm going to do. And that's why I do these walks and these distances and these miles and these weathers and all the inclines. Alongside that, when I first started this walk, going on to the second lap, I had such a good human experience. It changed my life. I've made so many great friends. Yeah. I'm a different person because I talk how I feel. Yeah. Men don't. I hug everyone I meet. Men as well. Because not enough men hug, right? That's like you. So many men could give me a hug.
Give me a hug instead.
But yeah, I thought to myself, I'm kind of broke right now. So what's another year being broke? Yeah. What the memories I'll make, what I'll achieve will far outweigh that. If I go and get a job or whatever happens, I'll always think to myself, I wonder what happened if I did do that. That was one motivating factor. The second one was that I wanted to do it as quick as I could. And a year was the goal. From start to finish, rest days, whatever, media, it's all included as a day. If I carry on like I am, I'm on track to finish it in 10 months.
Amazing.
I know. I'm doing marathons most days.
Yep.
And on my own. No support team. No, it's just me. And thirdly, and probably most importantly, because I can't give anything back financially, I decided how can I help and how can I thank the gods and people for the kindness that they showed me. I thought I want to raise money for charity. Yeah. And that's what I've done and doing. And it makes, when I get that donation come in, on my Instagram there's a link. I've got a GoFundMe, that's for me on the path. People have thankfully donated to that. So I can get a coffee, get a bit of kit. So anyone who's done that, thank you. Yeah. And alongside that link is one for a Just Giving. I like that as well, because it goes straight to the charity. I don't see it. But I'm five and a bit £1,000 in now.
Brilliant.
Every time I see donation, it's gives me a boost, man.
Yeah, totally know the feeling.
This is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
This is because the first lap, I wanted to quit all the time. Even now, I want to quit.
But you're not.
People would look at me and say, "But you've done this much." But I am just an ordinary guy trying to be an extraordinary guy. Yeah. That's it. And every day, I don't want to walk. Every day I wake up and think, not again. Every day I think, how can I do this? How can I survive? Where am I going? Where am I going to sleep? What am I going to eat?
Yeah.
Every day. Yet I'm still here, man.
And you're almost there at the finish line.
I think in the next 6 to 8 weeks I'm going to be done.
There must be, we're talking about the love that people have shown you over the last couple of years, through the GoFundMe, through just giving you a bite to eat, buying you a coffee, support, words of support. Yeah. You will get your fair share of hate, though, surely.
Yes.
And it's just jealousy. Yes. It will just be jealousy. Yeah. People that are like, why would he want to do that? Or he's just doing that for attention or whatever else. I'd like to think now that it bothers you less than it used to, but in the early days, was that something that would affect you?
Very much.
Yeah.
I'm human.
Yeah.
I spoke to you earlier about it.
Yeah.
You'll get 99 amazing messages and one rubbish one, and you'll look at that one, and it will penetrate you a little bit. When I first started walking, it came from deep within, man. The Marines. I had some close friends, obviously, that I've served with, and I heard from said close friends that other close friends I thought were close friends were slagging me off.
Right, okay.
And that comes from this marine brotherhood, right? Yeah. And that's why I don't believe that sometimes, because everyone's human.
Yeah.
So it should be a brotherhood, but sometimes it's not.
Of course.
But yeah, just people calling bullshit on the distances I was doing.
Yeah.
And why am I doing it? And what am I doing it for? And, again, that whole self-belief, and I call it radiators and drains.
Yeah.
Right? So you get two types of human. You get radiators, and like a radiator, they're warm, they give heat, they cheerleader, they're positive, right?
Yeah.
And drains, humans that take your energy.
Yeah.
And you have to be very, very, very careful about protecting that energy, because it can affect you. And there's a very famous quote that says, you are the 5 people you surround yourself with the most.
Yeah.
But what's not spoken about enough is people look at that positively, which is great. But what about if you surround yourself with 5 negative people? You become the 6th.
Most definitely.
It just happens. So you have to be very careful. But what started to happen is I'd start walking further. I'd meet great people in real life. And therefore, that became my community, and that became my circle of trust. Yeah. And obviously, as I'm walking, my pride every day is becoming very big in myself.
Yeah.
And therefore, I would then look at these people that would do that and be like, yeah, cheers.
Yeah, just ignore, just blanket.
Just completely blanket. And what then started to happen was that they just started to drop away. And everyone, you don't have to walk the UK twice to feel the hate.
Yeah.
Or be in a position. People often say to me when they meet me or they message me is, I would love to do what you're doing, but I can't do that. Or, oh my God, I only went for a 10K walk. Yeah. I'm not as good as you. I'm not as quick as you. And I always say the same thing back to them every single time, is we all have different mountains to climb, but they're the same mountain. Yeah. So that person's 10K might be my 26 miles.
Of course. Yeah. So
right? It's no different feeling.
Yeah.
It's no, the achievement is still just as big.
Yeah.
And obviously comparison is the thief of joy. So I always tell people, don't compare yourself to me, because there's people I compare myself to, and you just happen to do that. Yeah. But don't, protect your energy and understand at the base layer of what's going on is that people that do throw hate at you, it's very hard to just look at them and forgive them. But it's actually good for you to do that. Because what's actually happening is that person is attacking you because somewhere in your life you're triggering them. And why are you triggering them? Probably because they're jealous. They don't have the courage you have. And you have to understand that. So I just say, okay, well, no worries. I'll just move on.
That's it.
Don't entertain them.
Yeah.
What I want to do is inspire people.
Well, that's definitely happening.
Right? What I want to do is tell people the real facts, and I want to tell people how I feel and how what does happen. But at the end of the day, one of my favourite quotes, memento mori. Right? Remember death. Yeah. It's that simple. And for me, that's my North Star, because I know that one day I'm going to die. I've been around it a lot. And then I'd say to some people, say, yeah, you've been around it a lot more than most people. Yeah. But I haven't. We're all around it every day.
Of course, man.
It's the biggest elephant in the Western world, man, in the room. Right? We're going to die. And for me, the friends I've lost and just life in general, and why I'm maybe happier, why I'm driven, is because I could have been one of those guys that did take his own life.
Yeah.
And I always say a bad day, a bad month, a bad year doesn't make a bad life. And you have to talk to someone. It's going to be hard, but what I've found, obviously, is talking to strangers helps. Because whatever the stranger in front of you looks like, they don't know you.
No, there's very little judgment.
They don't know you, so it's easier to tell a stranger. So the 4 words that have changed my life on this walk is, hey, how are you? I don't ever walk past someone without saying that. If I've got my earpods in because I'm in pain, I still take it out and say it. And what might come back is, yeah, I'm good, thanks. Okay, great. Yeah. But what also comes back is an hour conversation. What also comes back is when they found out who I am and they've taken my Instagram, and a few weeks later when I had that 25-minute conversation with them, they've actually messaged me saying, do you know that time you spoke to me, that was the first time someone spoke to me this week.
Yeah.
You made me feel really good about myself. So I call it ripples. And you turn those ripples into waves if you keep being a good person and you are kind to yourself. If you're kind to people you meet, sometimes you're going to fall off that wagon, because I can be a dick. Yeah. We all can.
We all can.
We all can. I'm tired, I'm just snappy, but just bring yourself back in again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, but do people accept the magnitude of your task? Do you think? Does that...
I don't... Well, that's a tough one, isn't it? I would say 50%, maybe. Yeah. There's people that have been on a big walk. I get messages regularly from people that have done a weekend away or a marathon, and they're like, how the F do you do this every day? Some people I tell, they don't even care.
They just won't comprehend it.
Just don't comprehend it.
They won't comprehend distance, time, kilometres, money, or just fatigue, why you would want to do it.
Right? But then I used to be a bit like, oh, great.
Yeah, a bit of an anticlimax when you tell people.
But now I'm just like, okay, that's not my...
Just don't get it,
There's like 8 billion people in the world. I just want a few people to like me.
Yeah.
And I want a few people to buy into what I'm doing. I want a few people to maybe support me and donate, and I want sponsorship. And of course I'd love the big brands to like chuck money at me.
Yeah.
Of course I would. There's only, like I said to you earlier, there's Russ, the hardest geezer who's running Africa like a savage. Then there's me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like me and him are the only people right now, British people, that are running, walking and doing these adventures.
Yeah.
And I'd love big brands to, to chuck things at me and help me. Yeah. I'd love the help. It's bloody tough out there, man. But
you are the man in the arena, mate.
One
of your favourite quotes.
Honestly, I actually prepped this because you mentioned you might say it, but I've got to read it, man. Have we got time?
Yeah.
Because So, in regards to, I think it was my friend David, and I was going through this time where I was struggling because I was getting the hate and I was getting the shade thrown at me, and you haven't really walked this distance, you haven't done this, and I'm just like, what? When you're doing something so big, and someone tells you that, and you have done it, it makes you feel a bit shit,
definitely,
right? So David sent me this quote, which is The Man in the Arena, which was spoken by Theodore Roosevelt, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to read it, and if you are listening to this, if people are watching this, I would really suggest that they download it, get it off Pinterest, and read it. It's The Man in the Arena, but obviously it applies to women as well. But yeah, it's not the critic who counts, right? Not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds. Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
I love it. I love that quote as well.
Bro,
it just describes it down to a T. People can't comment unless they're in the shit as well.
Right, so it's the man or the woman in the arena, it's the people that are doing it. And that's why I say that if you see anyone trying, even if they fail, at least they try. And if they are trying, help them. If you can help them, help them. You give them some cash, throw them a positive message, give them some, and make you feel good as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's not enough people that do that, And my goal at the end of this is to write the book, obviously.
Yep.
I don't think too much past the finish line because it's such a big adventure and it's such a big endeavour.
Yeah.
But there's people I admire, and I stepped off and now I'm deep into it, 8,000 miles. And I've realised that I actually want my life to look like this, and why can't it? Because why not me?
Yeah.
Right? So I'd love to do bigger adventures, more adventures, and personally, once I've got my base sorted out and once I've got some money in the bank and once I'm good, and it doesn't take much to have that because I've lived off nothing.
Yeah, of course, you don't need a lot.
Such a great life and with nothing. So people that, if you focus on the money, it's not going to get you anywhere. If you wake up to go chase that money, it's going to lead you to a shallow place. Yeah. Don't do that. I always say after the first walk, I remember saying that in this life, you need a passion, you need a purpose, and you need a why. And the why has got to be bigger than you. And if it's not bigger than you, you're not going to feel fulfilled. No, so you need a passion, a purpose, and a why. If you have those three things, you're going to be good.
We'll start to bring the podcast to a conclusion now, but obviously in the kind of more imminent future, you'll be remembered as Paul Harris, the only person ever to walk the entire UK coastline twice. But on a deeper level, in the future, if you could be remembered for one thing,
oh man,
what would it be? And why?
That is, you can't just throw that on me, bro.
Just did.
Yep. I'm going to say, what would my legacy be? It would be that I'd like to be remembered for being the guy that compassionately, courageously, and kindly tried to leave whoever he touched and met in a better place.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah, that's off the top of my head. That's what I'd love to be remembered for. Man.
And I'm sure you will, mate, because it's plain to see that you're inspiring so many people. There's a lot of people even that I know that know about your story, and when they obviously know that I was going to be doing this podcast, and they're excited to kind of know about you on a deeper level. So I really appreciate your time when you're doing that as well. You definitely did. I was engrossed in that. What you're doing is epic. To be 8,000 miles on foot of an 11,000 mile journey. I mean,
25th pair of shoes, bro.
25th pair of shoes. That just shows you how much walking you've done. Yeah. But the physical endurance is one thing, but the mental endurance to put you in that arena every day for the best part of 2.5 years, alone, no support crew, very little funding, very little money. It's all self-funded, apart from like individuals being generous. There's no big business behind you. There's no sponsorship. There's no free gear. There's no anything like that.
So I've got a few that do that.
Yeah, it's not on a huge scale.
If anyone's listening that would love to do that, I would happily take that.
Yeah.
And I'd love the support, and I'd love the financial support, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as I've alluded to, my purpose, goal in life is just to be happy, man. And we're not here long enough to try and be any other way. And life is tough. It is. But I just want people to know that you let life live you, or you live life.
Yeah.
And if you let life live you, it's going to be tough. But if you live life, it's also going to be tough. Yeah. So maybe try and think like, okay, well, life's going to be tough whatever way I go. So how about I try and live it on my terms? And I know there's so many things that stop people doing it. And I know there's so many factors: money, jobs, wife, partner, kids, etc., etc. But that is true. But there's also a lot of people like me and you and people that do have all those things as well, and still courageously go forward and try and live the life that they want to live. And you'll be a happier person, and it takes a lot of courage. And the last thing I'll leave you with is the one thing that I thought when I started the walk and I thought about is that oftentimes as a human we are quick to be negative before we are positive. So if you want to go for that job, you fancy that girl, you fancy that guy, you want to get that plane ticket, you want to get that flight, you want to change that job, what you're probably going to do is 9 times out of 10 think about the 9 things that will go wrong first. But I always say to people, rather than think what's the worst that can happen, think what's the best thing that can happen if I do that.
Yeah.
Go with that. Whatever it is.
Just live life.
Just go with that, man. Just say to that girl that you like her, tell that guy you like him, go for that job. Why not you? Why not? You're never going to know.
Someone else is going to get there
right?
first.
And you're never going to know.
Definitely.
If you don't try, you're never going to know. And if you do try and you fail, at least you know, man.
Yeah.
On to the next one. On to the next job. On to the next person. On to the next thing.
Yeah.
But just don't stop trying, because one day you're going to hit. If you don't try, though, you'll never know.
Paul, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast, mate.